really excited to have you on, Shaheen. And I've seen you I saw you were on an AMA last week, and your face seems to be popping up everywhere in my feeds. And so I'm really excited that I actually get to talk to you and learn from you, and give you some space to tell your story and tell us about VeraContent. So the kind of one-liner you gave me, my understanding of what it is that you can expand on for us, is that VeraContent, is an agency that manages content channels for brands in 7 major European languages. And I believe that I have been featured on the content mix.
The content mix, yeah. So we run a few blogs. Yeah, so you've been on our content mix blog, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yes. So I'm sure you'll let us know so much more about that. And essentially how I like to start off our founder chats is, first of all, welcome everyone who has joined us, whether you're joining us live or if you're joining us on IGTV later. Welcome, welcome. How this is going to go is essentially we have about 30 minutes to have kind of a nice casual conversation. And if you have questions in the viewing audience, please do let us know. Say hello. I've got some wave emojis going on, so hello and wave back, hi. So let us know and let Shaheen know if you have any questions for her. So feel free to butt in at any time. Otherwise, it'll just be kind of a facilitated conversation. And Shaheen, great to have you. I believe that I last saw you at Volition's Women's Pitch Night, or not night, but Women's Pitch Madrid in March 2020. Kind of our first one that we went virtual with. So that was exciting. But how I like to start it essentially is to ask you to share with us your story, your why, and kind of and a bit about how VeraContent fits into that. Over to you.
Yeah, so okay, so the story, the long version or the short version, right?
Whatever
yeah.
you
Okay, I guess with the shorter version, I mean, basically I'm an American living in Spain for the past 10 years. I've done a lot of different things while being in Spain. My background's in journalism, but I started my current company, VeraContent, 4 years ago. And we are a multilingual content agency. And as you said, we manage content channels for global brands in 7 major European languages. But really, it's been an evolution over the years where we've really found, our place in the market, I think. But how I started out with my background in journalism was basically helping. Long story. I mean, I had been in this. This startup company called Spotahome, and I was part of the founding team, and that was an amazing experience to learn how to be part of a really fast-growing company. And in that time, I was working in we were opening several different markets, and previously I'd also worked in corporate communication, and I'd seen the need there was for like good content creation, and then with my background in journalism, that was something a problem that I knew how to solve. So I always had this idea in the back of my head, that this was a real need that I could do something about. So when I decided to leave the Spotahome project, that's when I pursued my own project. And basically, like I said, we started out really helping companies internationalize with good English content, and then we expanded into more languages, and now we're working in 7 languages. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what kind of, do you like specialize in do you work with a particular kind of business, or like what does the content generally look like?
Yeah, so basically the most common kinds of projects we do is like we work a lot with consumer brands on helping them with their global social media pages. So we manage the pages in different languages, and we do community management.
Okay.
But then we also do a lot of like content creation for blogs, both for a wide variety of types of businesses. Everything from consumer brands to B2B, and we've done a lot of worked with a lot of tech startups and companies, more like financial sectors as well. Really all over the map. A lot of travel and tourism because we're in Spain, We've also done,
interesting right now. Travel and tourism industry.
Yeah. At the moment, it's not going that well, but surprisingly, we still have some work. It's interesting that content seems to be the last part of the marketing budget that people cut. So we're really lucky in that sense that we haven't been we've definitely been a little bit impacted in some ways by the pandemic, but for the most part, most of our projects are going strong. So
yeah. Well, and like I'm thinking about how when we reached out to entrepreneurs such as yourself back in April, asking about how they've been impacted and like what they were doing to deal with the impacts of COVID, most of them were saying, I'm going to start focusing on community building and focusing on my content so that when we sort of come out of this, as it were, but like whatever that exactly means, when people start spending money again, they will be still aware that I exist, and it'll be like Volition was here, or whatever brand they are. So I've seen a lot of like members of our community really upping their game and using to kind of like to spend time on things where they may not have been spending a lot of time on as much before.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it's like something that people, a lot of people did a lot more content at this time. One, because they needed to like adapt their messages to the situation. All these crazy things that have been happening like required more communication. But I think also, that it's just something that is a long-term play. So it's like, okay, I'm going to invest in my content now so that I come back strong once the economy is back to normal.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, you touched on the fact that COVID didn't really impact you, as at least in the ways that it impacted other people. But is there any more to that story of like how did COVID? I don't know why I keep on saying COVID. Impact you or your team or your company in any way, or the businesses that you worked with, and kind of what has that looked like for you for the past, however many months it's now been, 6 months or so?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the business, I mean, definitely we saw like, it impacted our clients, some of our clients like quite hard. And we saw a lot of clients like delay projects because of like uncertainty. And we've just started to see some of them like reemerging, like clients that we hadn't heard from for a few months. But at the same time, we had other clients who, like I said, were like upping the amount of content they were doing. So it kind of made up for it. In a way, but also we had really ambitious growth plans for this year. And I'd say definitely COVID had an impact on our ability to like, there weren't people like making decisions about starting new projects during that time. So that really, it did have an impact on us in terms of growth. But for the most part, I mean, where the business is doing relatively well, I think compared to a lot of other industries.
Yeah.
And then of course, I mean, the remote work aspect of it, although that's something that we had always, we'd always been like a flexible work environment. So we have an office, but it was never really a requirement to go to the office every day. So of course, now we're even going less to the office. So like everyone, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what does, a lot of people often ask when we're doing these IG lives, what is the vision for the company then? Like starting now, and like obviously things, growth didn't happen as you expected, but maybe like were there any new opportunities that came up, and what does, crystal ball vision look like for the next, 6 months to a year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really hard to predict like this year in particular, like what we had in mind might not be exactly what happens. I mean, we're still really optimistic about growth, and I mean, like you were saying, a lot of companies are upping their content game, and so have we, like with, the Content Mix blog, which you took part in. So thanks for your feature on the blog. And then we've launched our own podcast, and we've been doing a lot more to like get our name out there and do some like virtual networking, because previously we had more of a event-based strategy that we were planning for this year that obviously we couldn't do.
Yep.
So we're looking at, I just got a call. I don't know how I can like turn off my phone. That's the thing about things from your phone.
Yeah. How to do it. I've tried to do like the oh my gosh, I can't think of it. Like the I'm asleep thing.
Oh yeah.
I'm working right now, but I've tried. It doesn't work. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. Yeah. So anyway. Yeah. I was just saying how basically we're trying to replace obviously in-person events that we would normally host and attend like with online events, and that's I think been going really well, and we've had the chance actually to connect with people more outside of our home market, so that's really cool. And yeah, I think I'm optimistic about what that will bring. Of course, it's like a long-term strategy, but I mean already I've definitely been seeing like a lot more activity just like in the past few weeks of people like inquiring about our services after I think a couple of months of like it was really slow. Obviously.
Yeah.
So people seem to be like things seem to be coming back a little bit, and in terms of like our longer term vision, like I can't say for sure what's going to happen this year in particular because it's just been completely unpredictable. But no, like basically, I mean, we want to be the, you know, the go-to agency for multilingual content in Europe. And but we're also selective in our growth, so we're really looking for like the right clients. And yeah, so we really want to work with clients who like share our same values and way of working and are in it for the long haul. Like we are all about like making long-term relationships with clients that we can work with and really get to know their brand and their voice and be kind of their ambassadors, managing their content channels for them. So
yeah, I love that. That's great. Yeah, I was just talking to people about I was just teaching a class on the future of work, and we had some speakers in, and we were talking about creating partnerships, which is very similar to creating, you know, client relationships as well. And like having that values alignment is so, so imperative. And things just like when you don't have values alignment, even if like maybe you kind of want the same thing, but you want to do it in a different way, oftentimes those relationships just completely fall apart. And I think as entrepreneurs, and I'd be curious your thoughts. Well, obviously, it sounds like your thoughts are aligned with this. That like don't necessarily think about our like working with clients in the same way we think about like obviously choosing co-founders or choosing staff or building partnerships. But it is so important, and I think becoming more important from what I've been seeing in businesses making those kinds of more values aligned and strategic decisions with who they want to work with. So kudos to you for making that decision. It can be a difficult decision to make.
Yeah, that's been a big like change for us in the past. I mean, basically for us a couple of years ago, we had a really, but like in 2018, I'd say we grew a lot, and then 2019 we didn't grow as much, but we really changed our strategy. Like we started to like be really selective about who we work with. We started saying no to things, and yeah, I mean, and it's difficult to do in the short term, but I think in the long run, it's like it like really pays off because there's more synergies now in the types of projects that we're doing, and it's like the team is more happy doing these projects, you know, and like we're making good relations with the clients, and the clients we're working with are like super happy because when it's not the right fit, you end up having clients that aren't just like your super fans, and that's gonna hold you back. So like you want to have clients who are just like totally your advocates and are super happy with the service and will recommend you and all of that. So
I love it. Yeah, cool. Thank you for mentioning that. It's such an important lesson. And so I also wanted to, you mentioned a podcast. So what is the name of your podcast and what is it about? I wanted to ask that.
Oh yeah, so it's also called the Content Mix. So the Content Mix is like started out as a Facebook community. And then so basically, and the community actually I started even before starting VeraContent. It was something that I created for networking, wanting to meet other people working in communications and marketing and content creation. And so that Facebook community, it was something I was also doing like in-person events over the years. And I mean, I think I started in like 2012 or something. I don't know, like a long time ago. And then, but it basically, and well, once I was like a couple of years ago or a year and a half ago, I think I decided like I want to put more of an emphasis on really growing that community and putting some of the resources from VeraContent behind it, because before that it was like a separate hobby thing. And so so we launched the blog, so that's the Content Mix blog, and so it's all, I mean, it's mainly focused on career advice and job opportunities for people in like writing, communication, and marketing. And now we started the podcast, which is interviewing people, sharing kind of like their career trajectories in the field. So yeah.
Neat. Cool. Have you already launched then? Do you have podcast like episodes out there in the world?
Yes. Yeah. We were doing like a daily episodes. So, and we started a couple months ago. So I don't know, we have like 60 episodes or something.
Wow. How many people are on your team?
My team 12. Yeah, full-time people. And the podcast, the interviews are done by me and by my colleague Carlota. So yeah.
Congratulations. That's a huge project to take on. Wow.
Definitely, yeah.
That's amazing. So it sounds to me like you've learned so much over the past few years, and like being at Spot a Home before and now with VeraContent and with Content Mix, being, you know, having been an entrepreneur a few times around now, it sounds like in many different ways. So I'm curious about like what what are some tips that you would have for your peer entrepreneurs and like what are some of the lessons you've learned, especially like working at Spot at Home or working on a previous kind of companies, and what have you brought forward that you would share with your fellow entrepreneurs?
Um, well, so many things. Yeah. It's hard to pin down. I mean, definitely, I mean, the experience at Spot Home was really like enlightening because, I mean, I did an MBA. I had done, actually, my first ever startup was a project that I did. I mean, startup was something, it was something I did during my MBA for like the Venture Lab project and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
But that was something that, yeah, I just was night and day compared to what I did with Spot Home. Because at that point, I guess I kind of like, we focused a lot on making the pitch, on building like a product and stuff like that, but not about the part of actually implementing the business.
Mm-hmm.
And when I joined Spot Home, I was like working with more seasoned entrepreneurs who had a lot more experience in like setting up business processes.
Right.
And I think that was like, yeah, what I learned the most is just like, well, one, like just start selling from day one. Like don't get too caught up in being perfectionist about the product and the details.
Mm-hmm.
But and two is just like build a system that has the capability to grow. So like yeah, I remember like the very first week or something like of the business, we were already like choosing the software tools we were going to use to like systematize everything, even though we at that stage was so small we could easily do it in a spreadsheet, but just having a plan for how you're going to be able to do this on a larger scale is really important. And if you have that in mind at the beginning, basically having a sales process from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And
go ahead.
well, I would say like, despite knowing that though, I didn't like completely follow that advice with VeraContent.
I mean, what you know? You're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, but it was actually probably like, I mean, I did in the sense of we just started selling, but I didn't systematize that things as well like that first year. But it was something that, okay, once I was like, okay, I really want to grow this, then we did start to really put those tools in place and document things and create the processes and all that. But I think like the biggest lesson is just like realizing how, I mean, that if you want to grow, if you don't want to grow, you can do without having really formal processes. But if you want to grow, you really have to formalize everything and think about every detail of how things will work and make instructions for every little thing so that anybody can do the job basically.
Exactly. Yeah. That's such a common thing. I think that like, especially when you're first starting as, if you're a solopreneur or you have just one co-founder and the two of you are working on it together and things end up staying in your brain and you have these huge networks of contacts and you have like systems for how you do your events and how you do everything in your sales process and all, and like how you work with who your customers and clients are and how you follow up with them. It's all in your brain and in your personal email. And we see this so often. And we have like so what you're saying is stuff that I've heard echoed from all of the advisors on the Volition team, because we have advisors who work like in HR specifically and sales and marketing and customer onboarding. Just all of these things are things that we don't necessarily think about early on, even if we know there's something that we should be doing. So I think it's like, even though it took you a year to get there, obviously it was still planted in your brain that this is important. And I don't even think that that's the case for a lot of us, especially, and like you were saying, you did an MBA, but it didn't, like that part of it wasn't a part of your training, it sounds like. So
yeah, there's like the practical aspects of like setting up business processes. Yeah, it's something that you learn by doing and learn from people who have done it before. And yeah, there's so many people who have like helped us over the years too, like getting our processes in place. And yeah, without like that outside expertise, it'd be really hard. Like with having an advisor who can tell you how to set up a sales process or how to set up
Yes, and yeah, exactly. So if you don't know, you don't need to know how to do it yourself, but find someone who can help you. That's super important too. Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Very good lessons learned. So I've seen some more people have joined us, so I just wanted to say a quick hello to you. And I've seen that you've said hello, so hi. And we have kind of about 10 minutes left-ish, so if you have any questions for Shaheen, now would be a great time to start noodling on that, and then send that to us in the chat, and we're happy to answer those. So something I want to talk about is something that I know is important to you, which is about how to find the right freelancers for your projects. I mean, working in the field you do, often I assume like often you're having to find either yourself or trying to find freelancers, or you work with a lot of freelancers who are trying to find projects, or the companies you're working with are trying to find freelancers. It's such a huge thing, and especially looking, into the future of work and looking into how things are going in the world with becoming having more global workforce and being remote and people having more choices. I know this is a really important topic to you, and I'd love to hear kind of some of your thoughts around how do you find the right freelancers for your business and for your projects. Teach it.
Absolutely. At Vera, we work with hundreds of freelancers. Like, we are constantly screening freelancers and finding the right people for client projects. And I think it's just an interesting topic that I think for entrepreneurs, because at the beginning, especially like there's so many aspects, especially when you're setting up your marketing, or that you need freelance writers, freelancers who can do different things for your business.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's like something that we have, I guess it goes back to what I was saying before about the processes.
Yep.
And I think like the biggest issue people have when hiring a freelancer is that, one, they don't really have a way to test them or to screen them, and then the second is that having really clear instructions for them, or setting the expectations really clearly.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the two things that are my advice for when hiring freelancers is one, set your criteria and know what qualities you're looking for. When you post an ad on a freelancer platform or on classifieds or whatever, and you start getting freelancers, obviously you need to know what am I gonna, it's the same as recruiting with employees, but I think a lot of times when people hire freelancers, they aren't as meticulous or they don't scrutinize as much who they work with, because it's true, you can hire them for a project, and if you're not happy, you can just move on to the next freelancer, right? But yeah, you need to have some kind of system to also screen a lot of freelancers to be able to choose the best one.
Yeah.
And then the second is about the instructions. So you can have a really good freelancer, but if your instructions aren't clear, they're not going to give you the results that you want. So
I freelance, right? And I can tell you how annoying it is when you get hired and they're just, and you do a draft of something, they're like, oh, can you just make it more friendly? And I'm like, well, okay, can you give me an example? What does more friendly mean to you? They're like, oh, just more friendly. And I'm like,
yes. So yeah, this is our daily struggle, is our clients say things like that to us, and then we're like, all right, so, and then we have to figure out what they really mean. Should give them examples is this more friendly for you?
What that look like to you?
And then we make the really detailed brief, which we then give to the freelancer so that we get the result that the client wants. Yeah.
Detailed brief, again, is so important, and examples are important. Know what you want.
Absolutely. Yeah. So concrete examples for sure.
So if anyone are you currently hiring any more content writers, or what kind of freelancers do you hire?
Yeah, so basically writers in the 7 languages that I mentioned, writers and community managers is our biggest need, but also translators. But we prefer to work with translators who also have writing or editing experience, because all the translations we do are creative translations, for publication. So people with experience in writing for publication. Okay,
so if anyone was applying to you and they wanted to be successful on the freelancer side of things, when we're applying, what can we be doing to set ourselves apart from the hundreds of other people applying?
Yeah, definitely specifying some areas of, I'm getting phone calls again. I'm just so popular today during the chat. So just specifying your areas of expertise and providing good work samples, preferably published work samples that demonstrate that your people trust your work. I'd say that's the biggest thing. And writing a good cover letter, because that's actually the first thing that we look at, is the cover letter that the person writes, or the email. So
no spelling mistakes, that's a thing.
Yeah, exactly. That pretty much just, even though, okay, we work with people in other languages, but you can just tell a little bit by the way the person expresses themselves like even if they're not native, like they're writing an English cover letter and they're applying for a German freelancer job.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not going to expect it to be perfect, but we expect it to be like have a logical flow and information in it. If you're applying for a writing job, if you like put irrelevant information in the in the cover letter, we like
Yeah.
we wouldn't go further.
Of your writing, and you're telling a story.
Exactly.
Oh, brilliant. And yeah, so we had someone saying in the comments here that it's also like being a designer when a client says to you, can you make this logo bigger? And you're like, what does that mean? Do you want it this like, do you like, what are the parameters? What is this for? What channel is it for? It's just like super frustrating. So there used to be, I don't know if it's still in existence, there used to be a program called Clients from Hell, or a website. I can't remember.
Clients for what?
Clients from Hell. I think that's what it's called. Yeah. It was video. Hilarious for any freelancers or people who work with freelancers out there. It's like you'll feel like you are not alone, essentially. So, thank you. I mean, it's really important, and you work with so many, like coordinating with over 100 freelancers is incredible. You must have learned so many lessons from doing that and having like a solid process in place. So that's incredible. So something else I wanted to ask you is, now that we've gotten a lot of kind of nuggets of gold from you, we've learned about VeraContent a bit more and what it's been like for you and what your vision is about the podcast, so many great things. So what can we as your audience do for you? How can we support you?
That is a good question. This is the ask that I was supposed to prepare. Well, I would say definitely to follow the content mix, both our blog, our social media channels, and the podcast, of course, which I mentioned before. Yeah, I mean, that's mainly, we're also on YouTube and all of that. So yeah.
Okay. So so what's the website they should go to?
Thecontentmix.com.
There you go. Okay. And we'll share this, on our socials after, and we will potentially share the 2 articles that I also contributed. So you can go check those out, and then you can go play around on the website. It was from Lockdown Diaries, I think it was. Because in Madrid, we were in one of the most strict lockdowns in the world, and I didn't leave my house for 50 days. So instead, I wrote while I was doing that. I wrote for the Content Mix twice, and I can't remember the second one. It was like lessons. Oh, I think it was just like a continuation. Was it?
Yeah. So we actually have 3 different blogs, and so you wrote for like 2 of our blogs. Right. One of them was Naked Madrid. So that's like a lifestyle blog about Madrid, and that was the Lockdown Diaries. And then we did a lockdown lessons thing that was like a version of that for the Content Mix. But the Content Mix is like for European content creators all over Europe.
Yeah, because I had a bit more of that like business, or what had I learned around, like specifically around marketing and communication.
Yeah, exactly. Oh. So yeah, we also have Naked Madrid, and then also Spain Guru, which is like a resource for people moving to Spain. And these are like Naked Madrid and Spain Guru were actually publications that my business partner and I kind like before even starting VeraContent. So, and now it's just kind of side projects. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I had no idea they were all connected, and then I started seeing like all the different channels like liking and sharing things and stuff, and I was like, I feel like they are somehow connected.
Yeah, definitely. We should probably make the connection more clear. Take more credit for the other blogs.
Yes, do like cross links and such. Send us to all of your blogs. Why not, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So those in the audience, we're just about to wrap up. So again, if you have any last comments or questions, but whether you're here live with us or if you're here on IGTV later, you can always submit questions later, and we will also send those over to Shaheen. So she shared with us where you can check out their blog, thecontentmix.com, and also the Content Mix podcast. You can see VeraContent IG channel. It has joined us here on the IG live as well. So you can head over to VeraContent and like them and follow them and connect with them, because they're doing cool stuff. And I'm excited to see where you're gonna go from here on out. So I guess I have kind of one quick question, and then and also would love to know, first I'll ask a longer question, which is there anything that we have not covered here today yet that you wanted to share?
Not especially. Yeah, we pretty much covered the main things. Yeah, I threw in my Spain Guru and Naked Madrid plugs already, so I think that's mostly, I mean, I guess Yeah, the one thing was, in addition to the freelancer positions, we're also currently hiring for a project manager position. So if there's any people with project management experience and writing experience, and especially with multiple languages, we're particularly would prefer someone with native French. But yeah, find our website.
We'll share your ask on our social channels as well. Okay, so very last question then, one I like to ask at the very end, which is, what is one thing that brings you joy right now?
The beach. I'm in Malaga. And I've been going to the beach every single day since I've been here for like 2 weeks. So
Oh my goodness.
yeah, so that's nice.
Amazing. Yes, I'm being honestly, because I'm from Vancouver originally, and then lived in Madrid for 2 years, or almost 2 years, and now here in Dublin, we're only a 20-minute walk to the beach, and I hadn't seen the ocean since before lockdown, so I was just like, oh, I mean, it's not my ocean's Pacific, so Atlantic Ocean's not my ocean, but I actually really love the Atlantic Ocean, and there is a difference between them. They have different characteristics, different personalities. I swear.
Yeah, totally.
You're on the Mediterranean, I guess, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Love it. It has its own personality too, and it just like
Definitely.
yeah.
And it's pretty awesome. There's like, in the silver lining of this pandemic is that there's not very many tourists right now. So I've been enjoying the Costa del Sol.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Shaheen. It was really great to get to know you a little bit better and get to know more about VeraContent and the Content Mix and Naked Madrid and Spain Guru. I think I got them all maybe. And I'm going to start listening to the podcast because I actually didn't know that you had launched a podcast. So that's awesome. And yeah, thanks so much for joining us. It was really great to have you on here. And to those watching, thank you so much for also joining us. It was lovely to have you here. And I will be back. We don't have an IG Live booked for next Tuesday yet, although I am working on that, but we will be back here in a couple of weeks. So I will see you again soon, and keep watching our IG stories to see when our next IG Live will be as well. So thank you, everyone, and I will see you next time. And thank you, Shaheen.
All right. Thank you, Melanie. Bye.
Okay.